Need a boost? Sometimes all it takes is tapping into your inner cool. Icebreaker's gum helps you unleash the confidence within. Each chew releases a rush of icy flavor powered by cooling flavor crystals, sending a wave of refreshment to reinvigorate all your senses. Icebreaker's convenient pack fits everywhere, from car cup holders to backpack pockets, so you can find your cool wherever you go. Grab Icebreaker's gum online or at a store near you.
These long dog days of summer, I mean, we just made it through a heat wave. Mama was parched through this heat wave. I was hitting up Dunkin' every single day, and I will continue to probably for the rest of my days, but especially this summer. Dunkin' is helping everyone stay cool this summer with its lineup of refreshers. These drinks are packed with bold, fruity flavors and served ice cold. It's amazing. Dunkin' refreshers are the perfect afternoon pick-me-up. I like to start my morning with them personally, and then sometimes I go back for a second one because I'm just feeling crazy. They come in a variety of delicious flavors, including fan favorites mango pineapple and strawberry dragon fruit. And then for a limited time, there's black cherry and there's pink pineapple. I'm going to tell you something right now, and it's a bold claim, let me tell you, but I stand behind it. Pink pineapple will change your life. It is so good. It has me feeling like I'm sitting in a pool, resort side, just living, honey. It's so yummy. Try your favorite flavor with green tea, sparkling water, lemonade, or Dunkin's all-new limeade. I haven't tried the limeade yet, but I'm going to. Usually I get my drinks made with green tea and occasionally lemonade, but I do really like the green tea. Or if you don't want to build your own, try one of Dunkin's curated refreshers like the Cherry Lime Ricky or the Ultimate Pink Daydream. The Cherry Lime Ricky, scrumptious. I could drink like 3 of these a day. They're so freaking yummy. Head to Dunkin' today and find your favorite refresher. Dunkin' refreshers contain less than 1% fruit juice. Limited time offer. Chilling crime cases are mysterious, but finding coverage shouldn't be. With the State Farm Personal Price Plan, you have options and can personalize your plan to help create an affordable price so you can get back to cracking all of life's bigger cases. Talk to a State Farm agent today to learn how you can choose to bundle and save with the Personal Price Plan. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Head to statefarm.com to get a quote. Prices are based on rating plans that vary by state. Coverage options are selected by the customer. Availability, amount of discounts and savings, and eligibility vary by state. Hey, weirdos, I'm Ash.
And I'm Elena.
And this is Morbid.
This is Morbid.
It's morbid in the late morning. I'm tired.
I know.
You know when you sleep too, like, not to brag, but you know when you sleep too good?
It's like when your hair is too soft.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, it happens. Actually, guys, my hair was too soft this morning. I had to put some dry shampoo in
Her
there.
hair's too soft and she slept too good.
I know, and my skin's too clean.
hurts.
My skin is actually not very clean right now.
You're just really, you're struggling.
I know, I'm really out
I
here.
have thoughts and prayers, everybody.
Thank you. I have a
Prayers
couple
up for
prayers
Ash
up.
Kell.
Prayers up for me. I have a couple spots on my face that I had to conceal, don't feel today. So, you know, just like
so
you.
again, I say prayers up.
Just like you, I'm imperfect.
Yeah. Ash, she's just like us.
This is an off-putting intro.
It is very off-putting.
talk.
Imagine if this is the first episode someone chooses to listen to.
Christ almighty.
They're out.
Sorry.
They're gone. We lost them.
It was nice knowing you. I'm a good person, I swear. I'm a good person.
I swear. No,
We're a
it's
little
true.
silly today.
We are.
A little bit silly.
I'm hungry, so that's
I'm
going to
not.
play a role in this episode.
I think I just ate my weight in chia seed pudding.
Good for you, man.
It was fucking good. I have pineapple next to me if you want some.
She does.
Like you over
Oh,
like
thank
Elena
you.
if you want some.
Elena
I
can have
can't.
some.
If I could, I would give you the pineapple through the speaker. Weirdo. But I haven't quite figured that out yet.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
You betcha.
I'll wait until after the episode.
Yeah, it's weird to eat on mic.
Yeah, I don't want to give you guys like a misophonia moment.
No, that's pretty fucking gross.
Yeah, one fun thing is if you haven't listened to the rewatcher yet, what the fuck are you doing?
Dumbass.
We're in the last season of Buffy the Vampire Slayer over there, and then we're moving on to another show.
The way that I was just about to say,
Yeah, just boop. Nope, we're not telling
we
you.
have not announced that yet.
We're not telling you, but I think it'll be one that you'll be excited about because it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, and if you don't know what we're talking about, we have another show called The Rewatcher. We cover Buffy the Vampire Slayer. I've never seen it, or like I've seen a couple episodes, but for the most part, I've never seen it. And Elena has, and Mikey has.
Yeah.
And now we're going into another show that I have literally never seen even a single episode. And Elena has and Mikey has.
Yeah, this one is going to be even more wild just because Ash, at least with Buffy, had seen like bits and pieces.
Yeah, just like growing up with you.
But this one, she's blind.
Yeah,
completely in the dark about. So this is going to be a real experience.
In fact, I was getting... Yeah. You guys were talking about it in code earlier.
Yeah, me and Mikey were texting hilarious moments.
It was making me TO'd.
And we said, don't worry, we'll show you this conversation when they come up.
You did. That was nice. That was nice of you because I was like...
But there's something really fun with it too that we'll get to announce soon. A little added fun thing with that season of The Rewatcher.
Is there?
Yes. We were just talking about it.
Oh, yeah. I was like, what? Anyway.
So yeah, go check it out. If you haven't listened to The Rewatcher yet, it's a lot of fun over there.
It is fun.
And I think you guys will dig it.
Yeah, and we do Scream too, so listen to Scream.
With Caleb.
With Caleb. We listen to and watch horror movies.
We do both.
We cover them and we all pick a different one every week and it gets pretty fucking crazy.
It does. It gets funny over there.
Yeah, it gets silly.
So if you needed to round out your morbid listening experience, I highly recommend that.
Just a whole bunch of Elena and Ash.
Yeah.
And friends.
And friends.
All right. Well, I have a weird fucking case for you today.
Yeah, you do.
I know this case. I knew of it, but I didn't know all the details. This is the case of Frederic Bourdin and the disappearance of Nicholas Barclay.
Interessante.
It is an interesting case. It's pretty sad, but fascinating.
Ooh.
And you're just like, how the fuck did this happen?
Yeah.
But I'll tell you how.
I am wondering that.
So let's start at the beginning, which is June of 1994. Nicholas Barclay was 13 years old, and he got into an argument with his mom over something pretty trivial. Nobody really knows like exactly what they were arguing about, but it was a pretty common occurrence between the two of them to be fighting. So Nicholas was definitely a troubled kid. He had a lot going on. We'll get into some of it later. But that specific day, his mother, Beverly Dollarhide, was really just in no mood to entertain this argument. So rather than continue it all, she gave Nicholas $5 and she was like, go play basketball with your friends. Like, get out of the house.
Yeah.
A few hours later, after his friends had gone, like all gone home, Nicholas called the house to ask his mother to pick him up. But his half-brother, Jason, picked up the phone and told him that their mom was sleeping and he didn't want to have to wake her up. So he was like, you got to walk home. And hours passed and Nicholas never did return home.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
That's such a sad way to,
just to think that they were arguing.
Yeah.
They were arguing and then also being like, no, I'm not coming to get you.
Yeah.
Like, walk home.
Oh, that's sad.
So sad. So at first, the family thought that Nicholas probably ran away and they assumed, he'd just be back soon. His sister, Carrie Gibson, said he'd run away before for a night or two. He was mad at mom and said, I'm leaving. I'll find a new mom and a new home. He was not this nice, sweet, innocent kid. He was a very street smart city boy. But Nicholas didn't return after 3 days. So Beverly filed a missing persons report at that point. But he's 13.
Yeah.
And he's been gone for 3 days.
Yeah, that's not
the likelihood of them finding him at this point is pretty low.
Yeah.
So when the news that Nicholas had gone missing was made public, shockingly, it didn't come as a surprise to anybody familiar with the family. According to neighbors, the police would visit the house a few times per month because the arguments between Beverly and the kids or between Beverly and her boyfriend got so heated.
Yeah.
It seemed to be a pretty known fact that Nicholas was a difficult child. He was constantly getting into loud arguments with his mom. He was fighting with his brother Jason, and he had been known to run away from home on occasion. Beverly said he thought he was an adult. We called him 13 going on 30. It was very difficult to discipline him. If he made his mind up, he was going to do something. There wasn't much I could do. So when he was reported missing, no one outside the family seemed particularly alarmed. His disappearance never made the news. It wasn't news to them. It was just news to us.
Oh.
Just sad.
Yeah.
So weeks and weeks passed, but there was no sign of Nicholas anywhere. No one heard from him at all. The belief that he had just like run away pretty soon gave way to the belief that actually there might have been some kind of foul play involved. Beverly said, I thought somebody offered him a ride and he got into the car. I think he would have gotten into a car with someone who kidnapped him.
That's so scary.
I know. Those weeks turned into months, the months turned into years, and it seemed like Nicholas was never coming back.
Ugh.
Then, out of nowhere, in the fall of 1997, 3 years after he had disappeared, the family got a call from the U.S. Embassy in Spain saying they had found Nicholas in a children's home and that he was desperate to return home.
Can you even begin to imagine this? Like this, that would be unthinkable. Like you're just getting a call from a foreign embassy and they're just like, hey,
your kid's here.
Yeah.
Just showed up.
And how long was this again?
3 years.
3 years later.
Think of how long 3 years is.
Yeah.
Like
3 years is an eternity.
An eternity. So, and every single day waking up, just like filling in the blanks of what happened to your kid. And then you get a call like, oh, he's just here. And now he gets to come home. Yeah.
Like I feel like the mix of complex emotions that you would be feeling would be so overstimulating because you'd be like, it's like excitement, grief for what they could have potentially been through. How did they get there? Who is with them?
Yep.
What have they been dealing with?
How'd they get all the way to fucking Spain
Are
when
they
they're
okay?
living in Texas?
Yeah. Like, holy shit.
Yeah. Well, according to the Spanish authorities, Nicholas had told them very little and was by all accounts very deeply traumatized by what had happened to him. From what they could piece together, this is like a little bit triggering. Nicholas had been kidnapped from Texas by human traffickers who sold him into essentially sexual slavery until he was able to escape after 3 years of enduring that abuse. He ended up being discovered by 2 French tourists who were in Spain at the time, and they found him by the side of the road near a diner and just called the police. After conducting a basic interview with him, the authorities were convinced that he was an American, and they were eager to return him to his family. His family obviously was elated by the news that after 3 years with no answers, their son and their brother, their loved one, was coming home.
Yeah.
His sister Carrie coordinated everything with the embassy, and she made plans herself to immediately travel to Spain to be the one to bring her brother home. But because of the circumstances of his disappearance, the case ended up being transferred to the FBI, who would now be opening an investigation and vowed to capture the men who had kidnapped him in the first place. But this complicates things, obviously.
Oh, massively.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when Carrie arrived in Spain to meet her brother, she really didn't know what to expect. I would have no idea what to expect. From what she'd been told, he had experienced horrific abuse at the hands of his kidnappers. And obviously she knew that going through an experience like that will leave some kind of long-term emotional effect on a person.
Absolutely.
Like psychological scars. And she also knew that 3 years had passed. And in that time, Nicholas would have changed physically. Especially when you think about the jump from 13 to 16.
Oh, for sure.
That's a big jump.
Yeah.
So it seemed likely that maybe she wouldn't recognize him immediately. And despite having prepared herself for the worst, when they finally met in Spain, Carrie didn't have much trouble recognizing her brother. She said he had changed somewhat, but as far as she could tell, he was Nicholas. That said, there were things about him that did give her pause. She said he talked with a funny accent, but it was always a whisper, very quiet, like he was hiding. She also noticed that his eyes, which were always a very vibrant blue, if you look up pictures of him, he has like striking eyes.
Yeah.
Now they were light brown. So that's weird.
Yeah, that doesn't happen.
Yeah. The handlers from the embassy explained that while he was being held captive, the abusers would beat him if he spoke English, so he learned to speak in a way that would please them. And they explained that according to Nicholas, the captors had also injected his eyes with some sort of solution to change their color.
Holy shit.
Yeah. And as for his quiet, skittish behavior, obviously Carrie rationalized it by reminding herself that he had been severely tormented and traumatized.
Yeah.
So that was going to change his behavior around others.
For sure.
You know? So that night, she spent hours going through an old photo album with her brother, just giving him updates on everybody, reminiscing, pointing out people, being like, you remember auntie, you remember uncle, this like mom, you must miss mom.
Yeah.
And he said very little, but he seemed interested, and she said she could tell that he loved seeing the pictures. But before they could leave Spain and return to Texas, the U.S. Embassy obviously needed to certify Nicholas's identity. As far as Carrie could tell, it was her brother, but they needed actual, like, information to confirm that this was really him before they would issue him a passport and send him home. So the following day, Nicholas met with a judge from the embassy who had devised a strategy to determine if this was in fact Nicholas Barclay. In their meeting, the judge showed Nicholas 5 photographs of his family, his quote-unquote family, and asked him to identify various people in those pictures. He correctly identified the first 4, but he was unable to identify the 5th person, like the person in the 5th image.
Huh.
Yeah. Now, even though he hadn't been able to identify all 5 correctly, the judge reasons that 4 out of 5 was sufficient, and the embassy issued him a new passport, and he was off to return home to Texas.
I mean,
Trauma.
that's the thing. There's like that element of unthinkable trauma here.
Yeah.
That is playing a role in all of these decisions, I feel like. It
'Cause
would play a
remember-
role in most of my decisions
3 years.
of being human trafficked. I mean,
Yeah.
that's something most of us, luckily, fortunately, can never even begin to conceive.
Human
of the trauma that
trafficked,
would come to that.
Taught to speak a different language, injected
Forced
in the
to
eyes.
speak a different language.
Right. Like
So it's like-
injected in the eyes, like big
So I
things going
can
on.
see how they would be like, okay, yeah.
You got 4 out of 5.
Maybe his memory's not going to be as clear,
Right.
you know?
You can see it. You can kind of see it.
Yeah, of course.
So with all the details and the paperwork squared away, Carrie and Nicholas went to the airport the next day and they were, prepared to leave Spain. To Carrie, he seemed incredibly nervous about the flight or returning home, maybe a combination of both. She said, I didn't understand why he was so nervous. He was constantly watching people, watching me. He was always watching me. Which obviously she had some kind of strange feeling about it.
Yeah.
Once they got back home, though, Nicholas was welcomed with open arms by almost everybody in his family. At first, the attention and warmth did seem to be overwhelming for him. To the family, he seemed pretty shy, pretty withdrawn, obviously very guarded. But like Carrie, they reminded themselves that he had undergone a profoundly traumatic experience, so it made sense that he wasn't like super duper happy, like he was before.
Yeah, of course.
So within a couple months, Nicholas did seem to relax and he was settling in. He started hanging out with his old friends. They were super happy to have him back, obviously. And he even seemed to be kind of developing a crush on one of the girls in the neighborhood. The change was positive, and it seemed to indicate that he was returning to his old self. But there was still one big hurdle before he and the family would be able to put this whole thing behind them. Because of the alleged kidnapping and the human trafficking, the FBI was obviously eager to pursue the case, and they wanted to speak with him immediately. So after letting him get settled back in with his family, they scheduled a meeting with Special Agent Nancy Fisher, and Beverly and Nicholas sat down with her at the Texas Center for Missing and Exploited Children. Given what had happened, Nicholas was obviously eager to get through the interview as fast as he could and never talk about what had happened to him again. Can't blame him.
Yeah.
While that would be easy to understand, though, there was still something about Nicholas and his behavior that struck Nancy Fisher as unusual. Later, she said, not that people can't change in 3 years, but this person did not appear to be 16. He had a shadow of a beard, a dark beard that I doubt Nicholas would have had at the age of 16, since he had blonde hair.
Yeah.
And if you do look at pictures of like when he was found 3 years later, he looks like he's in his 20s.
Oh, 100%.
Like he looks like a man.
Yeah, it's shocking.
It is. Not to say that like
Everyone ages
16-year-olds
differently. And
yeah.
like,
Right. Like some 16-year-olds, you're like, holy shit, you look so much older. But
yeah.
This was a little different. But he also obviously appeared to be nervous and uncomfortable, but almost unusually nervous and uncomfortable. But like the others, Nancy was like, he's been traumatized, he's been brutalized, it's going to change a person, especially in this setting where they're disclosing the most horrific details about their abuse to a stranger.
Yeah.
So she gave him a little bit of a
Leeway
pass,
here,
a little
yeah.
leeway, yeah. If you're listening to this podcast, you know that in every great true crime story, there's always one turning point. The moment somebody actually decides to change course. Well, hello, listener, here's your chance for a turning point of your own. Meet Fume, the flavored air device designed to help you ditch bad habits and feel good about what you're reaching for. No nicotine, no vapor, no batteries, just an awesome design and flavors like crisp mint, peach blush, and cinnamon hearts. Let me tell you all about this new alternative to smoking and vaping called Flavored Air. Our sponsor, Fume, have created an award-winning flavored air device that helps people ditch that bad habit of smoking. It was founded on the idea that if we stick to good habits, making a change feels easier and less pressurized. Fume has lots of delicious flavors to choose from. There's crisp mint, orange vanilla, and the new peach blush. And with flavored air, you can satisfy your oral fixation through a passive diffusion system that utilizes no electronics, no vapor, no combustion. There's also no nicotine, so it's not addictive. It's non-toxic flavor, so it's a guilt-free alternative. And the best part, there's no batteries. You never need to charge it. Fume has already helped over 400,000 people take steps towards better habits, and now it's your turn. Use our code MORBID to get a free gift with your journey pack. Head to tryfume.com, that's tryfum.com, and use code MORBID to claim this limited time offer today.
This episode is brought to you by SoFi, the all-in-one finance app where you can bank, borrow, and invest all in one place. Let's talk about bank accounts for a second. The average bank savings rate is 0.39% in interest. You're earning pennies on your savings, and it doesn't have to be that way. But with SoFi's high-yield checkings and savings, the money barely making moves sitting in your savings account can earn over 8 times the national average savings rate with eligible direct deposit. No account or overdraft fees. We love transparency. You can get your paycheck up to 2 days early, plus get up to a $300 welcome bonus when you sign up with eligible direct deposit. Sign up for SoFi checking and savings at sofi.com/morbid. SoFi checking and savings is offered through SoFi Bank, N.A., member FDIC. Terms apply. Chilling crime cases are mysterious, but finding coverage shouldn't be. With the State Farm Personal Price Plan, you have options and can personalize your plan to help create an affordable price so you can get back to cracking all of life's bigger cases. Talk to a State Farm agent today to learn how you can choose to bundle and save with the Personal Price Plan. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Head to statefarm.com to get a quote. Prices are based on rating plans that vary by state. Coverage options are selected by the customer. Availability, amount of discounts and savings, and eligibility vary by state. According to Nicholas, he said he had been abducted by the, quote, military overseas on the night that he went missing. He said his captor approached him on the basketball court, chloroformed him, threw him in a van, drove to the airport, and they left the country. He claimed that from then on, they would move him around often. He was always kept in rooms with other children that were also being trafficked, and they were regularly assaulted and sexually abused by high-ranking members of the military, he said. In the report prepared after the interview, Nancy Fisher described various aspects of his abuse. This is pretty graphic. But she said every night all the kids were raped and molested by men. These men were American, Mexican, European. They kept burning him and giving him insects to eat. His left foot was broken by a crowbar. The boy's identity was changed by changing the hair color, eye color, or other ways. His eye color was changed from blue to brown by use of a solution.
Ugh,
so this is
awful.
like horrific.
Yeah,
There's unimaginable things.
I can't even go there.
I can't either. Nicholas claimed that he only managed to escape that night because his captors forgot to close the door securely. And that's how he got out.
Damn.
Yeah. He said he got out of the building and just ran for hours until he couldn't run anymore. And that's when he was discovered by those 2 French tourists who obviously called the police.
Which you wonder at that point, you're like, so did anyone else try to escape?
That was my immediate thought.
Yeah,
I was literally just going to say that.
Wouldn't we be hearing that other kids showed up?
Yeah, they left the door open and one kid's running. I'm assuming
most of the
not
kids
everyone is going to run. Obviously,
of course not.
There's fear, but
but there's going to be at least another one.
More than one.
Yeah.
So Fisher said later, this was a horrendous interview and I was shaken by it when I left because I felt all the horrific emotional side effects that go with listening to such a story. So she thanked Nicholas for being super candid with her, and she assured him they were going to find the people who had done this to him and bring them to justice. Before leaving, she reminded the family that because this was an open and ongoing case, they really should avoid speaking with the press because it could compromise the investigation.
Yeah.
Despite the warning, the news about Nicholas's ordeal and his return home had already gotten out, and the family was constantly getting calls from reporters. About 2 months after Nicholas had got home, private investigator Charlie Parker got a call from a producer at Hard Copy, the national news magazine program, and they wanted to do a story on Nicholas, but they were having trouble getting in touch with the family. So it was their intention to hire Parker, who worked out of San Antonio, track the family down, and get their consent to cover this story. Parker actually had no difficulty getting hold of Beverly and Nicholas, And to his surprise, they seemed pretty eager to share their story, which was not great because the FBI literally said, don't do that.
just said, don't do that.
And like anything the FBI tells me to do, I'm prob's going to listen.
Yeah, if they say don't do that because it's going to compromise a giant child trafficking ring that they're trying to, eradicate.
Take down. Yeah.
Listen to that.
I'm going to listen.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just a few days after reaching out to the family, though, Parker found himself invited into the family home. He was watching as the local news taped an interview with Nicholas just sitting in the living room. In that specific interview, Nicholas is wearing a large jacket pulled up around his neck, a wide brim hat, and dark sunglasses.
Okay.
Interesting. His responses to the interviewer's questions are very short, very quiet, and delivered with a distinct, heavy French accent. Which is fucking weird.
Yeah, like that would make you... People questioning this, I get it.
Yeah.
Like this is...
It's fucking
strange.
weird.
It's strange.
I can't imagine my my child goes missing. 3 years later, comes back with different eyes, a dark beard, and a fucking French accent.
It's the eyes that I'm having trouble.
Yeah.
That I would have. But again, like I understand... desperation
Yes.
could also be playing a role into this, that you are just desperate to have your child back and you will just kind of ignore the red flags because you're like, I just want this to be him.
It's like the case that you covered, the Bobby Dunbar case.
Yeah, it's like you just desperately want your child back, so you'll just kind of put yourself in a headspace of like, this has to be him.
Yes.
Because otherwise something terrible happened.
Otherwise he's gone. Yeah.
I can't take that.
Right. And I'm sure, like, in some ways, it would feel like, don't rip this child away from me. Like, if, they're thinking, like, this is my child, or even, like,
They've convinced themselves.
Like, they've convinced themselves, and it's like, don't take him away again.
Yeah,
kind of
exactly.
thing. So Charlie Parker was watching the interview in a separate room where he could see Nicholas clearly. And as it happened, he also found himself standing next to a photograph, an old photograph of Nicholas on the wall. As he watched Nicholas being interviewed, his eyes just kept darting back and forth between the photograph and the young man in the other room. And the more he examined the photo in front of him, the more he started, kind of noting the differences between the two. He said, there was a moment where the hair stood up on the back of your neck and there was just something wrong about it.
The fact that he just like knew.
He just like innately, exactly.
Yeah.
Not wanting to tip anybody off to his suspicion, though, the next day, Parker asked Beverly if she had a picture of Nicholas that he could borrow to kind of study some more.
Yeah.
And he remembered that, and this is interesting, he remembered that when Martin Luther King Jr. Assassin James Earl Ray was arrested in London, the authorities used a comparison of his ear in those photographs, or in a photograph of Ray, in order to confirm his identity. So Parker enlarged the photo of Nicholas and compared it to the photo of 16-year-old Nicholas in his passport. And to his surprise, the boy's ears were not even remotely similar in the two photos.
Ooh.
And our ears don't change.
No.
It's entirely possible for somebody to dye their hair, change the way they speak, maybe even change the color of their eyes to seem like they're somebody else. But again, our ears are like our fingerprints.
Yeah.
They're formed when we're very young, and, barring some kind of mutilation, they just don't change as we grow older.
Yeah.
So that being the case, Charlie Parker now had compelling evidence that the boy living in Beverly's house was not Nicholas Barclay.
Which also is fucking horrifying.
Terrifying.
Horrifying.
Like, I have goosebumps now.
Yeah.
Like, I've read through this multiple times. I have goosebumps.
Yeah, I can't.
So fearing that the young man could be a spy or have some kind of nefarious intent, Parker called Nancy Fisher, Special Agent Nancy Fisher, to report his discovery. And he was stunned to find that Fisher didn't seem too interested in what he had to say.
Huh.
In fact, the most she was willing to tell him was just be careful that he didn't intrude on a federal investigation unless he wanted to get charged with a crime.
Oh.
Yeah. Later, she said, I thought I didn't have a right to question their statement that this was their family member, because how could they be wrong? I mean, no one would be wrong about something like that. Why would you ever take in a stranger? Not just a stranger from this country, but a stranger from another country who speaks with a French accent. This has to be Nicholas Barclay.
Which I understand that.
Totally.
That thought process. Like, I totally get where they're coming from.
And
like,
I get that, but also you're an FBI agent.
Well, for sure. That's the thing. Like, this is so fucked up. Like, this whole thing, because it's like, it's different because she's an FBI agent. That's where that's your job.
It's different because you're an FBI agent, but then I was just saying that. But then at the same time, when the fuck do you run into that during your career?
Well, it's like, at this point, it's so hairy because you are questioning a grieving, a family who's been grieving for 3 years.
Yes.
The loss of their child. And it's like, and now they have this hope and they are telling you this is their family member.
They're like steadfast about it.
It must be a very strange position to be in to know that it is not.
Yeah.
And to be like, how are you not seeing it?
Right.
You know, like we think of the Bobby Dunbar case and we were saying like, how can you not know that's not your son?
I think
But it's
probably
like, I think
somewhere,
desperation plays a part of just controlling the part of your brain that logically tells you that is not your child. It just shuts it off, I assume.
the thing.
And I think unless you've been in that position, it's probably hard to understand. But looking from this point of view, you say, dear FBI agent,
question that.
You got to question it. If you ruffle some feathers, you ruffle some feathers. You got to let it slick off your back and be like, sorry, I'm just doing my job.
Right. Well,
you know,
we're here talking about it, so you know something happened.
Exactly.
So Nancy Fisher might not have wanted to believe that they were dealing with a straight up imposter, but there were others who were far less willing to entertain this whole charade. As part of the FBI's investigation into the case, Nicholas was sent to see forensic psychologist Bruce Perry in order to collect more information about his claims about being trafficked. Bruce said, I introduced myself, and when he spoke back, immediately I thought something's wrong here. As a contractor with the FBI, Perry had interviewed countless survivors of traumatic situations, actually, unfortunately, similar to those that Nicholas said he had gone through, and nothing about the boy's behavior seemed to support his story. Most significantly, Nicholas spoke pretty casually about the details of this abuse that he supposedly went through, without showing any of the physical and largely unconscious signs of somebody who's been abused. There was also the fact that he seemed entirely incapable of speaking fluent English or speaking without an accent. Like, it seemed like he could not do.
Yeah.
Perry said, that told me about the development of his brain and the development of language. You just cannot be raised for the first 6 or 7 years of your life in an English-speaking home and not be able to speak English without an accent. Yeah. I can guarantee you that this kid was not raised in an English-speaking family.
Which, it really is fascinating how people can, like, pick those little parts of your pathology.
Yeah.
And point to, like, nope.
And just
proves it. You know what I mean?
And it's so fascinating just how the brain works and how you might so badly want to change that, but you just can't. Like, the brain is just wired that way.
Yeah.
So Bruce Perry reported his suspicion to Nancy Fisher. And along with what she'd heard from Charlie Parker, at that point, she could not ignore the obvious fact that whoever it was who had returned home from Spain with Carrie Gibson was not Nicholas Barclay.
Yeah.
So fearing now that the family might be in danger, she immediately called Carrie Gibson, his sister, or quote unquote, and told her what they learned. And to Nancy's great surprise, Carrie seemed uninterested in hearing that the young man living in their house was not her brother and may in fact be a dangerous person.
Oh.
Later, Carrie said she didn't remember Nancy Fisher putting it in like those exact words that this person might be dangerous.
Yeah.
But the fact remained that no matter how she phrased it, the family was determined to hold on to the belief that their lost loved one had come back to them.
Yeah.
And it seemed like nothing was going to change their minds, which like we're saying over and over again, you can understand.
It's just
a little
sad situation. It really is.
Very quickly, the Dollarhead family had gone from willing participants in an FBI investigation to now a serious obstacle in finding the truth. A few days after Nancy Fisher informed the family about the potential danger, she actually went to Beverly's home to obtain permission to get a DNA sample from Nicholas, but the agents were met at the door with a very uncooperative Beverly.
Oh, no.
Not only did she refuse to allow them near Nicholas, quote unquote, but when they pushed the issue, she threw herself onto the floor and started screaming, no, and you can't pick me up and you can't make me. Oof. Yeah, which is sad.
The whole thing.
It's heartbreaking.
The whole thing is heartbreaking. I mean, this is awful.
Yeah. From Nancy Fisher's perspective, though, the change was remarkable. She said she wasn't just apathetic, she was hostile. I no longer saw them as a grieving, victimized family. I saw them as a questionable family. There'd be no reason for them to accept a stranger into their lives unless there was something to hide. So she's looking at it like, this is a bit nefarious now.
Yeah. Because I understand that you need to question that. You need to say, because you have to look at it from a totally, unbiased point of view, not living in the emotion of it all. You need to be like, why are you trying to keep this? If I'm telling you this could be a dangerous stranger, this is likely not your son.
Right.
Like, why can't we investigate this?
Mm-hmm.
But then you look at the family and you say, well, I don't want you to put my my loved one, who I think this is my loved one, through more trauma.
Right.
And I just want to go on with my life.
Right.
But you can see how it would look nefarious from the other side.
Yeah.
You
And
know?
the thing, like, it wouldn't be super traumatic to get a DNA test to confirm your identity, I don't think.
Exactly.
You know, like,
But again.
but I've never gone through this experience, so who knows? But while Nancy Fisher and the other agents from the FBI continued trying to work with the family, private investigator Charlie Parker was kind of, in the background there. He was tailing, quote unquote, Nicholas everywhere he went at this point. At times, he would reach out in the hope of forming a connection that would allow him to get more information. And after about a week or two, his efforts seemed to pay off. One afternoon, Charlie Parker invited, quote unquote, Nicholas out for breakfast at a local restaurant. And they sat down together. They apparently ordered some hotcakes. And the conversation eventually turned to the night that Nicholas disappeared several years earlier. Parker said, "You really made your mother mad," referring to the fight that he had gotten in with his mother before he left to play basketball. Mm-hmm. And at hearing that, the man sitting across from Charlie Parker put his fork down, looked up at Parker, and said, "She's not my mother, and you know it." I would
Holy shit.
my pants.
Charlie Parker was probably like, wow, I thought that was going to be a lot more difficult.
Yeah. And
Like, holy
also,
shit.
obviously, Charlie Parker knew. He fully knew. Like, he had studied the ears and everything.
Yeah,
like,
he knew.
Innately, he knew.
You don't go that hard unless you're pretty sure that you're right.
Right. But then to have somebody confirm it must be just a whole different thing.
You must be orbiting at
Yes.
that point. Like, I would be shot into the Kuiper Belt.
And
at
then
that
you're
point.
also like, okay, cool. Who the fuck are you sitting across
One,
from me?
who the fuck are you? And two, what the fuck do we do next?
Yeah. Like, what do I do with this information?
Because now I know. But
Right.
it's like, is the family going to take this?
Yeah.
And how are they going to take it?
Exactly. So once the confession was out of his mouth, it didn't take long for the imposter Nicholas's story to fall apart. A short time after that breakfast meeting with Charlie Parker, he was fingerprinted by the FBI, who ran the prints through the international database and almost immediately got a hit. Which, like, fantastic. Why the fuck didn't you just do that as a precaution originally?
Okay, thank you. Because my first question was going to be, wait a second. They didn't fingerprint him? Why didn't I think of that
We could have
before?
started, like, that judge's idea was super cute and, like, super fun. Like,
That should have been
pointing out
along
family
with
pictures.
fingerprints.
Right.
Dental records.
The whole nine.
And what's wild is I didn't question earlier why
think-
they didn't do fingerprints or I think
You probably just assumed they did.
I think I assumed they did, and now I'm like, wait a second.
Yeah. No, why wouldn't you do that to begin
That's
with?
clear as day.
Yeah.
Wow.
Certainly is. The fact that they didn't fingerprint him to begin with is mind-boggling.
Yeah,
I'm
that's
baffled.
truly baffling.
My baffleds are baffled.
Truly.
So the young man who had been passing himself off as Nicholas Barclay for several months now, living in this family's home, was in fact a 25-year-old French man named Frederic Bourdin.
Yeah. So see, there was a reason he looked that old.
Not only was he 25, he was a fugitive wanted by the Interpol on several counts of impersonating other people all around Europe.
Oh no.
They had been living with a motherfucking fugitive.
Oh no.
Can you
That's not
imagine?
good.
You think your 13-year-old son disappeared. Like, you're not only you think he did disappear. 3 years later, he comes back. The FBI is like, yay, woo, he's back. We showed him some photos. He knows you guys. It's great. And then you find out you've been living with a 25-year-old French fugitive. I'd be like, what the who did I piss off in a past life?
Seriously, I'd be like, when does it end?
Truly, when does it end?
Holy shit.
A 25-year-old French fugitive.
And you've
What the
just been laying
fuck?
your head down at night with that man in your house.
Yeah.
Pretending to be your child. And also, this
Ew.
guy, what the fuck?
It's weird.
This family lost their 13-year-old child and you prey upon that? You gotta be the lowest form of scum.
He is a mentally ill human being. He, I will say, has a very tragic backstory. It by no means excuses what he did, but there's some psychological thing that
Jesus.
played out here.
Do you remember in school when you just knew that your teacher had a favorite of everything? They would always use the same blue dry erase marker when they wrote on the board, or they would talk nonstop about their favorite element during science. I had a teacher once that literally had a favorite brand of marker. She would only write with specific markers, and if another marker ended up in her classroom, she was TO'd. And honestly, I was probably her favorite student because at the end of the year, I got her that specific brand of marker. Let's talk about their real favorite thing, though. Their favorite tissue brand. Kleenex. According to teacher lists, they are the #1 facial tissue trusted by teachers. Kleenex Ultra Soft tissues are silky soft to help prevent skin irritation, and now you can take them anywhere with Kleenex Snap and Go. I absolutely love Kleenex Snap and Go. It's so perfect to have that in your car. I had a cold last week and I was just... Honey, my nose was a faucet. I hate to do this to you, but it was disgusting. Drew literally came out of our garage with like 15 of the Kleenex Snap and Goes, and I put those in my glove compartment, and honey, they were easy access. It was so nice knowing that I didn't have to blow my nose into like an old wrapper that I had. Ew. So do the best thing for your kids' teachers and stock up on the ultimate classroom favorite. Maybe it'll make them their teacher's favorite student. They definitely have a favorite. Don't even get me started because, again, you know it was me. For whatever happens next, grab Kleenex. The best summer pieces are the ones you end up wearing on repeat. Comfortable, versatile, and somehow right for almost every occasion. Quince makes it easy to create a summer wardrobe that you'll love, with elevated essentials made from premium materials like European linen, organic cotton, and washable silk, without the traditional retail markup. I love that! Quince's 100% European linen pants, dresses, and tops are the pieces that you absolutely will reach for all summer long. I absolutely love their linen. I have so many pairs of their linen pants, which you can dress up or you can dress down in the summer. Like, say you're going to a nice dinner, you can pair it with like a silk shirt, a really cute necklace, some good, makeup and an updo. Or if you're just looking for a more casual look, you can do the linen pants with like a loose button-up shirt and you still look really chic, kind of like, I don't know, Diane Keaton vibes, I kind of think. Also, it's not just apparel. Quince also offers elevated essentials for your home, from bedding and bath to kitchen essentials and furniture. They have it all, honey. I am a big lover of Quince, and I really do think you will be too. Make your summer wardrobe feel easier. Go to quince.com/morbid for free shipping on your order and 365-day returns. Now available in Canada too. That's QUINCE.com/morbid for free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/morbid. So in retrospect, it obviously seems unbelievable that anybody would have looked at a 25-year-old man, specifically this 25-year-old man, and believed him to be 16-year-old Nicholas. Like, I was telling you I was doing this case and you looked at the pictures and you were like, how the fuck did anybody think that? Yeah. But he had gone out of his way to make himself appear younger. And when it came to manipulating people, he was a master manipulator. Still, the difference between the two people is immediately apparent. Bourdin himself said in a 2011 interview, I mean, who wouldn't see it?
Yeah.
He himself was like, yeah, that's fucking crazy.
Yeah, like when I saw the pictures, I was like, I don't know about that.
Yeah.
I don't know about that.
One of these things is not like the other.
Yeah.
So the revelation that Nicholas was actually Frederic Bourdin was a shock to many of the people who had, closely followed this story or who were involved in this story. But it also raised several new questions. Chief among them, who the fuck was this guy and why did he want to impersonate an American teenager?
Yeah.
Given that his history is almost entirely self-reported and the fact that he is a consummate liar and con artist, it's pretty difficult to know how much of his personal history is true. But throughout the last decade or so, it does seem like he has this kind of remarkable willingness to be honest about his life and his crimes. So it's possible that he told the truth with regard to his history and his motives for this whole thing.
Yeah.
So Frederic Pierre Bourdin was born June 13th, 1974 to a single mother, Ghislaine Bourdin, in Nanterre, France. Why can't I say France? France. Why did I say it like that? France.
In France.
Anyway, at the time of his birth, his mother was very young, and his father was an older man from Algeria, and he was already married at the time, so Ghislaine never told him about her pregnancy. Not very prepared or very interested in being a mother, Frederic ended up being raised by his grandfather, who he claimed was an abusive racist who treated him very badly because he was mixed race. Frederic said, "Before I was born, I already had the wrong identity. I was already prepared not to know who I really was," which is really sad.
That is sad.
In a 2008 interview, Ghislaine recalled that her son was like any other child, totally normal in his early years, but she said she didn't have much experience with him when he was young.
Okay.
Yeah, just before he turned 3, he was removed from the home and placed with her parents because of her lifestyle. At the time, she was a heavy drinker. She usually didn't have a job. She was in no way fit to be a mother.
Yeah.
And besides all that, according to one relative, she really didn't want anything to do with that child.
That's sad.
It is really sad.
That's really sad. It
So-
doesn't give you a right to traumatize people later in life, but
No,
it's very sad.
you feel sad for the child.
Yeah.
When he did see her, Frederic remembered his mother being very dramatic, constantly needing attention. So relatable. While most people would have been happy to see their children and, make their children the center of attention, Ghislaine seemed kind of frustrated when the focus wasn't on her and when, Frederic was getting attention. So she would feign illness when he was around, and especially when they were alone together, and make him run and get help. He said to me, to see me frightened gave her pleasure.
That's fucked up.
So she's like, fucked.
yeah, that's really fucked up.
If this is true, because again,
Yeah,
this
I
is
was
his
going to
account.
say, because remember, he's a con man.
Right. Caught between his grandfather's abusive, abuse and his mother's disinterest in, whatever was going on there.
Yeah.
Frederic started creating fantasies in his head about who his real father might be. And when he entered school, he started telling stories about his father. He told his classmates that his dad was a British secret agent, among other lies. But no matter how outrageous the stories about his home life were, his peers more often than not seemed to believe him. A former teacher of his said he had this way of making you connect with him. And they described Frederic as a, quote, precocious and captivating child who had an extraordinary imagination and visual sense, drawing wild, beautiful comic strips. So there was a lot going on in his mind, for sure. At the same time that his creative side was emerging at school, like cool, teachers started noticing other, more troubling aspects of his personality. Not cool. He was rebellious, he acted out a lot, and he showed what teachers described as signs of mental distress. So something was going on. At one point, he told his grandparents that he had been molested by a neighbor.
Oh, God.
But it doesn't seem like they did anything to report that or have that investigated. So after that, he became even more rebellious and even more defiant. When he was 12, his grandparents weren't able to control him anymore, and he was usually in trouble for acting out at school or stealing from neighbors. So his behavior got him sent to a facility for troubled children. And that's a fact.
Yeah.
During his time in the children's home, he seemed to get even more creative with the stories that he was telling. He got more dramatic, more detailed. In 1990, when he turned 16, he was required to move to a different children's home for older kids. But after just a few days there, he ran away and hitchhiked to Paris, where he invented his first fake identity. He said he was a lost British teenager named Jimmy Sale. Later, he said, "I dreamed they would send me to England, where I always imagined life was more beautiful." But the problem was he spoke almost no English, so the authorities in Paris didn't believe his story, and eventually he confessed, gave them his real name, and they promptly returned him back to the home.
Oh, geez.
Yeah.
So lots of failures here.
Yeah. So his performance of Jimmy Sale, lost British teen, might not have been very convincing to win him a free trip to England. But it did seem to work for a little bit. He was almost convincing them. In fact, if he had spoken English and been able to give some other details and, explain away flaws in his story, he might have been able to pull it off. He wasn't super far from pulling it off. So it was then that he established a strategy of impersonation that he would now employ countless times over the next 2 decades. By 1992, he had impersonated more than a dozen fictional children and just bounced around from one children's home to the other, just lying about his identity. But now that he was 18, things were different. They didn't send 18-year-olds to children's homes. They sent them to prison or just kicked them out to live on the streets. And at the same time, he hadn't received any education or life lessons, anything that you need to live successfully as an adult.
Yeah.
So he decided he just wouldn't live as an adult. Instead, he continued impersonating children all over France, fleeing when he was found out, only to restart his ruse somewhere else with a new fake identity. By that time, he had accumulated a pretty significant record with the Interpol for lying to authorities, falsifying his identity, falsifying documents. It was true that he had broken the law by creating so many fictional identities, but it also seemed to be one of the few things that he was actually really good at. Like, he got caught, obviously, because you can only put up things like that for so long. But he was
he got away with it for a while.
He got away with it for a while. And the way he would manipulate people, like, they did believe him.
Yeah.
He had this ability to make people believe him.
Yeah.
Which is really fucking scary.
Which also makes you question a lot of his background.
Yeah,
that you can't verify, at least.
That you can't.
Yeah.
Well, he kind of said, having spent so many years in institutional care, he had a keen understanding of how to elicit sympathy from adults and how to exploit their guilt.
Absolutely.
He knew which buttons to push in order to get what he wanted, while also making them overlook obvious inconsistencies in his story. In the time that had passed since his teen years, his fantasies and his stories had gone from, creative play to now criminality.
Yeah.
But the motive always seemed to be the same. Despite having become a straight up con artist and an impersonator, his identities weren't about money or anything like that, or like stealing from people. He just said, for as long as I can remember, I wanted to be somebody else, someone who was acceptable. Which is really fucking sad.
I know, that's the thing. If it's like that's really the case, then that's devastating.
He never got charged with like any theft or anything like that. Like, he was always just charged for being a con artist and like falsifying documents to be a child.
Well, and it's like, you wanted to, like, he's wanting all these things that he didn't get, and these people treated him so badly, but then he's going and like destroying people's lives.
It's fucked up.
And it's like, that's not going to help.
It's not going to help. I think he didn't learn like
compassion,
empathy, like relating to things to one another, humanity. And it's like, I think if he had seen a psychologist while he lived in those children's home, he might have turned out to be a very different person.
Yeah, potentially.
But like you were just saying, because he had the childhood he did, being passed around people who just truly couldn't give a shit, he never felt wanted or loved anywhere. But when he created stories about being a lost child or sometimes a mute, traumatized teenager, he found the kind of sympathy and care that he always wanted. Even being placed in a children's home, he said he felt more comfortable than he ever had been with his mother or his grandparents.
Wow, that's really sad.
He said, nobody ever gave a damn about me. So to be put in a place where somebody really cared about me, I was reborn.
Wow.
Which is sad.
That's horrifying.
Yeah. But unfortunately, no matter how good he was, like we know, the characters and identities he made for himself over the years only lasted so long before he was found out and had to move on.
Mm-hmm.
In October of 1997, his latest scheme had earned him a stay at a child welfare home in Spain, where a judge gave him 24 hours to prove that he was a teenager or face criminal penalties. He was going to go to prison. So panicked that now he had overplayed his hand and could wind up in jail, he told the manager of the home that he was an American teenager who'd been kidnapped and brought to Spain, and all he wanted was to go back home. He played the trauma card and convinced the manager to let him be the one to contact his family in private. And he even got them to agree to letting him do it in the manager's office, like alone. Which is wild.
How do certain people just have this ability?
Because here's the thing, like, it is insane, but I know people who I think could pull this off.
100%. That's the thing. There are certain people who just have this ability.
Yeah. Con artists are scary, like, fucking people. Damn. Because you hear, like, there have been people in my life and I'm like, how the fuck did you get away with doing that? And like, how do you not care about hurting somebody like that?
How do people just let you do it?
And how do people let you do it? But they do. It's crazy. So this happened the night before he was to be fingerprinted by the Spanish authorities. Fingerprinted. The night before. He spent the entire night placing calls to various police stations and cities across the U.S. Every time he would claim that he was a Spanish police officer who had found a missing American boy, but he said the boy refused to speak to them, so he was reaching out on the boy's behalf to find out whether or not this boy matched any of their missing children.
Wow.
Which, like, imagine getting that call. You'd be sus about that call.
Absolutely.
So he did. He struck out repeatedly that night, but then he got a hit at the Texas Center for Missing and Exploited Children. After providing
That's terrible.
What was basically a description of himself, the operator told him the description sounded a lot like that of Nicholas Barclay, a teenager from San Antonio, Texas, who had gone missing 3 years earlier in 93. So Bourdin asked the operator to fax a photo of Nicholas, and they did. And when the image of the missing boy came through, Frederic was like, this is a long shot. Like, I don't really even look like this kid, but I'm going to try because it's my only hope.
Wow.
He said he thought to himself in that moment, he's been missing 3 or 4 years. I can guarantee one thing, there would be a change. If there's a change, there will be doubt. If there's doubt, then I have a chance.
That is chilling.
It is.
That is so chilling.
Because he did not give a shit about what that could do to this family. He didn't even think about it.
Yeah,
he just said,
didn't give a
I
shit.
can't go to prison, so this is what I have
I can't
to do.
go to prison, so I'm just going to ruin this family's life.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it was then that 25-year-old con artist, Frederic Bourdin, transformed himself into 16-year-old missing teenager, Nicholas Barclay. While the authorities started contacting the embassy and the family, Frederic worked fast to make his appearance match that of Nicholas to the best of his ability. He dyed his hair blonde. He even had one of the other residents tattoo him with the initials that Nicholas had tattooed on his hand and his ankle. Yet even those alterations, like with those alterations,
tattoos.
he got, he dyed his hair. He got tattoos for this. But even with those alterations, he was sure that he would be found out immediately and sent to prison. He just was like, it's worth a try.
Wow.
Later, he said, you can't prepare to play a role or be a person you don't know. But when the first interview happened and the embassy official seemed satisfied with the story, it did seem possible. Still highly unlikely, but possible that he could pull it off. Then in the days that followed, he thought surely he'd be discovered as a fraud at any minute. But every passing step, everyone seemed to believe his story with no hesitation. The reality is that obviously, like, a lot of people don't want to question a story like this.
No, of course not.
Especially one that he had told where, he'd been traumatized and everything. So it worked.
So all the cards fell into place.
Yeah. And it was pretty much what he assumed. People were easy to manipulate when you knew what buttons to push. And he did know what buttons to push, the trauma buttons.
Yeah.
But his biggest challenge, he figured, came when Casey Gibson, Nicholas's real sister, arrived in Spain to pick him up. Frederic was convinced that after days of pretending, he was going to be found out when Casey got there. But he said Casey didn't appear the slightest bit suspicious, so it seemed like he might actually get to leave Spain. In fact, when it came to establishing his identity for the passport, something he definitely thought was going to trip him up,
Yeah.
it was Casey who prepared him for the test unknowingly.
Oh, man.
The night before Frederic was to meet with the judge at the embassy, again, remember, they spent hours going through family photos and telling stories.
Oh, you're right.
So when the judge asked him to identify those people in the family photos, he had been given all the information he needed not even 24 hours earlier.
Wow.
Yeah. Just by happenstance.
It all just kind of fell into place for him. He didn't even have to do the work.
Yep.
Wow.
For years at this point, he had passed himself off as dozens of fake teenagers with varying degrees of success. But this was the first time he had taken the identity of an actual person. And he was still convinced, though, that sooner or later someone was going to realize he wasn't Nicholas. It's obviously one thing to create a fake persona and like come up with your own backstory, but it's quite another to adopt the identity of a person who had 13 years of experiences with a family.
Yeah.
And like an American family, you know, it's pretty different.
Yeah.
You know that feeling when you come home late from work and those puppy dog eyes just pierce right through your soul? Or when you're packing for a trip and your cat refuses to leave your suitcase? Yeah, we've all been there. Pet parent guilt is real. And you know what? It's completely normal. That's exactly why Hill's Pet Nutrition exists. They understand that being a pet parent means being human, with all of our imperfections and daily juggling acts. Hill's science-led nutrition helps you give more love than humanly possible. Whether it's those long work days or trying to balance attention between multiple pets, Hill's Pet Nutrition gets it. They've created science-based nutrition that supports your pet's lifelong health so you can feel confident even when life gets hectic. Because you're only human, there's Hill's. Science does more. Ready to let go of the guilt? Find the right food at hillspet.com/podcast. That's hillspet.com/podcast.
Everyone's talking about protein lately, but how do you actually get enough of it? Muscle Milk. Muscle Milk has a great tasting new formula with no artificial sweeteners, flavors, or added colors. It's high quality, complete protein designed to support healthy muscles with fewer ingredients than the previous formula and 26 to 42 grams of protein for when you're stuck in meetings or need a post-workout recovery. Available in chocolate, vanilla cream, cookies and cream, and strawberries and cream. Try the new great tasting Muscle Milk today. Available in stores nationwide. Muscle Milk. Protein for all.
So when they arrived in San Antonio, he said the Dollarhide family welcomed him with open arms. Like Carrie, it seemed they didn't notice the glaring differences between Frederic and missing Nicholas.
They didn't want to.
No, of course they didn't. Each new person he met seemed to adopt the position that since he had gone through this traumatic ordeal, he would almost certainly have changed in some way. And he said if anybody was suspicious, they didn't let on.
Wow.
Aside from one person who did not seem even remotely interested in entertaining the ruse. When they knew Nicholas was going to be coming home, the family organized a party, and all the relatives and neighborhood friends came over to the house to welcome him when he got there. The only person who wasn't there was Nicholas's half-brother, Jason, the one he had called, remember?
Yeah.
And Jason said, like, no, I'm not waking up Mom. You got to walk home.
That's tough.
Since Nicholas's disappearance, Jason blamed himself for everything. And he was a heavy drug user for years. Unfortunately, it made him slip a lot further into his addiction. A couple weeks after the party, though, Jason did finally come by the house to visit with the family. And when he walked in, he gave, quote-unquote, Nicholas a hug. But Frederic said he remained very standoffish for the entire visit, and he seemed to be viewing his, quote-unquote, brother with a very wary look. In fact, despite spending hours with the family that day, they only spoke one time. As Jason was preparing to leave the house, he looked at Frederic suspiciously, said good luck, and left.
Good luck.
Good luck.
Holy shit.
Chills you to your fucking core.
Frederic
He knew.
was probably like, oh,
yup.
oh,
yup.
That
The fact
man
that
knows.
this is not, like, it is a movie now, but the fact that this whole story is not just a movie originally is fucking
Like that
crazy.
this is real?
That it's real
Yeah.
is insane.
Wow.
Good luck.
Holy shit.
So he'd been doing this for a lot of years, obviously, so he knew when his lies were starting. Like, he could tell when people were realizing coming on to him when things were going to fall apart.
Yeah.
His resemblance was slight at best. And again, he spoke with a very strong French accent. So the lie should have been obvious from the start.
Pretty much.
And he said that being the case, within a few months of being in San Antonio, he started questioning if the lie was so obvious, why would the family be so willing to accept him as their missing child?
Yeah.
So now he's starting to kind of be suspicious of this family.
Oh, Lord.
When Nicholas disappeared in 1994, the authorities assumed, like we said in the beginning, that maybe he had just run away from home.
Yeah.
And Nicholas actually had been picked up by the police shortly before he disappeared for stealing a pair of tennis shoes. And it was possible that the theft and like some other things that were going on at the time was going to result in him being placed in a juvenile facility.
Oh, wow.
Like he was supposed to go to juvie that summer.
Holy shit.
Add that to the fact that, unfortunately, Beverly Dollarhide also struggled with addiction. And his brother Jason, like we know, was an addict at the time and also was frequently abusive to Nicholas.
Oh.
Like they did not get along well with each other.
I feel really bad for Nicholas.
I do too. He had a very sad life. But all that gathered together, it made sense to the San Antonio police that he would have run away at the time.
Yeah.
But years later, as more and more people started digging around in the family's history, some people started to wonder if the family knew more than they were saying.
Oh, wow.
And that's maybe why they were so willing to
To
accept
just go
this.
along with the ruse.
Yes, exactly. It was clear, obviously, that Jason immediately saw through Frederic, but he seemed perfectly willing to let everybody else go on pretending, which Frederic said struck him as very strange.
Well, that was when you said he said good luck and left. I'm like, all right, if you can tell that this is not your brother,
You're not worried for your family?
why are you just letting this go?
Right. And that's
not
exactly
being like,
how
guys.
that's exactly how Frederic felt.
Yeah. Which it's wild to be on Frederic's level right now.
I know, I hate it.
Thought process wise, but
It just makes sense. Like
yeah, it's a question that
It
you
is.
have to ask.
Right.
You can't just pretend that that's not weird.
No, it is fucking weird.
Yeah.
Later, Frederic said it was clear that Jason knew what had happened to Nicholas, which is chilling. And that's, according to Frederic, I'm not saying that he did.
Yeah.
At the same time, PI Charlie Parker, though, also began to suspect that the family might have been involved in Nicholas's
Charlie
disappearance.
Parker.
Charlie Parker.
Oh shit.
In his research, he learned that a few months after Nicholas's disappearance, and this is fact, it's not like alleged or anything, Jason called the police to report that he had seen his brother trying to break into the house one night. But when he called out, Nicholas ran away again and was never seen ever again.
Huh.
Parker knew that while, sure, this could have been true, it also very well could have been Jason attempting to make the authorities think that Nicholas was still alive, which was a kind of strange thing to do unless maybe he knew what had happened to Nicholas.
Eek.
And maybe knew who was involved or
It was
was
trying
involved.
to
keep it going.
yeah.
Getting back to Frederic, though, once the positive ID had been made, he was arrested for lying to the FBI. It's kind of a big
As
deal.
he should be.
Yeah, they will definitely always arrest you for that.
Yeah.
And he was also arrested for entering the U.S. on a false passport, among various other things. Upon being arrested, though, he told the local FBI and the local police and the FBI that he was confident that Nicholas's family had killed him and had welcomed him into the family as a way of further covering up their crime,
Oh, that's awful.
which is so fucked. The accusation, along with other facts of the arrest, were enough to make the family give up their insistence that this was Nicholas, and this whole thing finally came to an end. Years later, Beverly herself admitted that after a few weeks of having Frederic in their home, she did start to doubt whether or not he was Nicholas, but she kept that suspicion to herself. She said one of the things that tipped her off was, quote, Nicholas was a warm child, always hugging her and kissing her. But she said this person in her house was cold and extremely guarded. She had noticed it the first time that they hugged at the airport, and he never really seemed to get comfortable around her, and vice versa. But she said at the same time, she just wanted to believe so badly that it was her son that she went along with it.
Well, and also it's like if he's just been in part of a human trafficking ring,
He might not want to be
not want to
hugging.
touch you.
Yeah,
Like he might not want to be touched at all.
right.
So it's like that would not shock me.
No.
Like I would expect that, to be honest. I'd be like, you probably don't want anyone touching you, regardless of who they are or what their intention is.
Right.
So that wouldn't like shock me.
Wouldn't shock me either.
And that wouldn't be like a weird thing to point out that like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like I feel like that would just be like par for the course with that kind of thing.
You would think so. I think we also right now have a lot more information about like what happens to people and like what that all entails. Who knows what she knew about that in that immediate moment, you know? But still, it's weird.
Yeah.
I agree with you. So while Frederic sat in a cell, Nancy Fisher started now looking into the claim that the family was responsible for Nicholas's disappearance. Unfortunately, and, you know, not surprisingly, the family was not cooperative with the investigation. I'd be pretty pissed if this happened to me. But Beverly refused to help. She said if Jason did something to Nicholas, I didn't know about it, and I can't imagine Jason ever doing that. It's just not in his makeup. Which, like, he was abusive to Nicholas, so he's, you know.
Well, like I'm not like, I don't know what happened here.
Nobody
so I'm
does.
not going to say anything happened. To me, that's just a strange way of wording that.
Yeah.
If I have children, I'm not saying like if one of them killed the other one, then I don't know about it.
Yeah.
Like that's not going to be in my vocabulary. Like
No.
that's not going to be even in the orbit of possibilities. It's going to be, of course that didn't happen. There's no fucking way that would happen.
Exactly.
And again, I'm not saying that means that something happened. I'm
It's just a
saying
weird way to word
strange
it.
way to word that.
Completely agree.
Like I wouldn't have worded it like that.
I will say, you know, hot dog in a trench coat, take it for what it is.
Oh.
She took 2 polygraph exams and passed them.
Okay.
But then they had her do a third, and she failed every single question on the third one. So that just goes to show you
polygraphs are just shit.
they're shit. How do you pass 2 with flying colors, and then the third one you
fail
fail
one with flying colors?
every question?
Yeah,
And also, like, if you already passed 2, why are they making you take a third?
exactly, because they know it's bullshit.
Yeah, I'm like, this is a waste of time. But Nancy Fisher said of the third exam, she practically blew the instruments off the table.
Damn.
I was like, yikes. Jason himself was even more uncooperative. When Nancy Fisher sat down to interview him a few weeks later, she said he was hostile. He refused to help in any way. Shortly after that interview, he checked himself into rehab for drugs, but he left halfway through before finishing the program, and he died from an overdose a short time later, which is very sad.
Yeah.
The investigation into the family pretty much stalled because the investigators couldn't find anything concrete linking the family to his disappearance, but, you know, there were suspicions still. Nancy Fisher said, I do feel like the family knows the whereabouts of Nicholas Barclay. I think Beverly and Jason knew at one time what happened to Nicholas Barclay. And that's just the FBI speaking.
Yeah.
I'm not saying I know what happened.
That's just the FBI saying it.
Other investigators shared the belief. They cited the history of violence in the home, the evidence of the abuse documented before Nicholas went missing. But unfortunately, to this day, he remains a missing person.
That's really sad.
Really sad. After a few weeks of arguing back and forth with the prosecutor, Frederic Bourdin accepted a plea bargain, and in September of 1998, he pleaded guilty to perjury and obtaining and possessing false documents.
When asked why he had perpetrated this crime against a grieving family, he told the judge he was merely seeking love, which outraged the family.
Yeah.
And would outrage me.
Yeah.
That's great. Go find love somewhere else.
Yeah, go figure it out,
not with
man.
my grieving family.
Yeah,
Like,
that's fucked up.
Go fuck yourself. The judge actually sentenced him in this case to 6 years in jail, which is more than 3 times the recommended sentence for that charge.
Which is pretty crazy.
Yeah, it is. When you think about like all that goes into the scheme that
That's
he
the
played
thing.
out,
Like, it's pretty diabolical what he did. It's
yeah.
like,
But
holy
remember,
shit.
he took a plea, so there were
Yeah.
some charges that were dropped.
Yeah, of course.
So the judge did everything he could. After Frederic completed his sentence, he was obviously deported back to France, where he got right back to his old ways, impersonating fake teenagers.
So it did nothing.
No, it literally did nothing. He was continuing to impersonate people, and he actually spent time in prison, like multiple times. Eventually, he got out and met and married a woman named Isabel, who he met when she reached out after seeing him on TV discussing his history and what she described as his quest for love.
Ladies, we have to do better.
It's true.
Okay? We
Yep.
have to do better.
Yep.
We really, really have to do better.
Yeah, we do.
Okay?
They are still married to this day, and they did have 5 children together.
Wow.
According to Frederick's mother, when the family got the invite to the wedding, they didn't go because she said no one believed him.
I wonder why.
Like, that's bad. If you're sending out a wedding invite and everybody's
Nobody
like, oh, that's
believes
probably
that you're
fake,"
even getting married.
like, you've been lying for a
You're a
long time.
pathological liar.
It's sad. It's
Yeah.
sad. As for his new role of husband and father, those who know him best do not believe that Frederic has changed at all. According to his mother, he is a, quote, liar and will never change. His uncle, Jean-Luc Drouart, he agreed, saying, you can't just reinvent yourself as a father. You're not a dad for 6 days or 6 months. It's not a character. It's a reality.
Yeah.
And that's that.
And that's it.
That's on that.
Holy shit.
What a wild thing that played out here.
The real like loser in all of this, like the person who lost is Nicholas.
Yeah.
He's lost.
Still.
He's almost lost in the story.
He is.
You know what I mean? Like it's like
He absolutely
no
is.
matter what, the story became something so different. And it's like when you really boil it down, you're like, what happened to that 13-year-old boy that day?
And it
Like,
doesn't,
what
there wasn't
happened?
really, it didn't seem like there was like a lot of investigation that happened.
That's the thing. I'm like, why are we not figuring out what happened to him?
And I think there wasn't a lot of investigation because they were like, oh, he ran away. He had ran away before. So,
And it's like, yeah,
obviously
okay,
he did
that
it
doesn't
again.
mean that they. And it's like, yeah, he ran away and he obviously came back.
Yeah.
You're telling me that kid just ran away and never came back? Never popped up anywhere?
Yeah.
Ever?
Yeah.
Like
That's the
Nicholas
thing.
Barclay just does not exist anymore?
I don't know what happened to him, obviously. I don't think he ran away.
I don't
I
either.
think somebody did something bad to him,
Yeah.
whether it was somebody who did it like while he was walking home.
Yeah, it could easily be a stranger.
You know, the FBI could be right to suspect the family. Who knows? Like, I
Because
don't
again,
know.
that's the FBI suspecting
Yeah.
that something was closer to home here.
That's on the FBI. That's
That's
not
on the
me.
FBI. I'm not.
I'm definitely not the Federal Bureau of Investigations.
I too am not
That's
the Federal
good.
Bureau of Investigation.
Would you tell me if you were?
I would. The day I become the Federal Bureau of Investigations,
As a
I
whole?
will absolutely update you. I'll
Yeah,
shoot
let
you
us
a
know.
text really
Cool.
quick.
Thank you so much.
Right when it happens.
That's super great
I'll throw
of
it
you.
on my Instagram.
Perfect. I won't see it.
Yeah, you won't see it.
Yeah.
But everybody listening will. This is a strange story,
Yeah.
an upsetting story, and no one wins
No.
in this
Well, and
story, which is like very sad.
something I forget what you said earlier, but like you were saying he just gets lost in this story.
He does.
The other thing is he maybe wouldn't have gotten so lost in this story if Frederic hadn't done what he did.
He absolutely wouldn't have
Cold
gotten
cases
lost.
get investigated all the time.
Yeah.
3 years into that, they might have found something if they continued
Frederick's-
looking. But
Yeah.
they thought he had they thought he had come home, and then when they realized it wasn't him, they had a whole other situation
Yeah.
to deal with.
But they were having to deal with, okay, is this him or not?
Right.
And it's like, and that's precious time they could have spent looking into this case.
And he's just gone. Nicholas is just gone now.
And then by that point, the family's angry and upset.
And then some of them have, I think
Some of them are pushing back on like investigations, and it's like you've really lost the sauce here. And
Yeah.
it's like, again, there's a 13-year-old boy who went missing.
Yeah.
That just is
gone.
gone in this whole thing, and it's just the Frederic show.
Hopefully someday they can, like reopen up an investigation and figure out what happened. Like we always say,
know what happened to him.
Cold case is never cold. And like,
no, they're not.
A 13-year-old should never go missing and not be found.
That's the thing.
That's fucked up.
Come on.
It's like, it's
Somebody
just really
knows
sad.
something.
And it's just sad that I think in his 13 years of life, he didn't get to be happy often.
It sounds like he didn't get a lot to be a kid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sad case.
It is a sad case.
And Frederic's childhood is fucking sad too.
Maybe.
Well, he was in those homes, so that's sad.
True.
That's facts.
Yeah.
So that's sad that he had to be put into homes.
For sure.
It's just a sad case all around.
Yeah,
but
it's a bummer.
Don't impersonate people, okay?
Don't do that.
Unless it's for you're impersonating Kermit the Frog's voice.
Yeah.
Do voice impersonations, those are fun.
Yeah, those are fun.
Yeah, not other.
Not missing children. Don't do that.
I don't have to tell you that.
Yeah.
If I have to tell you that, turn this off and seek help.
Yeah, that should really go without saying.
All right, well, we hope you keep listening.
And we hope you keep it
weird. But not so weird that you don't take our advice and not impersonate missing children.
Dicks.
Yeah, just be cool. Don't be all uncool.
Don't be all uncool.
Countess Luann.
Everyone's talking about protein lately, but how do you actually get enough of it? Muscle Milk. Muscle Milk has a great tasting new formula with no artificial sweeteners, flavors, or added colors. It's high quality, complete protein designed to support healthy muscles with fewer ingredients than the previous formula and 26 to 42 grams of protein. For when you're stuck in meetings or need a post-workout recovery. Available in chocolate, vanilla cream, cookies and cream, and strawberries and cream. Try the new great tasting Muscle Milk today. Available in stores nationwide. Muscle Milk. Protein for all.
You wouldn't take financial advice from a 72 hours in a single day alpha influencer, would you? Same goes if you're in a car accident or any accident. Who you choose matters. That's why Morgan & Morgan exists. They're the largest injury law firm in America, and they've built a reputation by actually winning cases, not just talking about it. Over 1,000 lawyers across all 50 states and $30 billion recovered. Injured? Go to forthepeople.com/podcast. That's forthepeople.com/podcast.